The Ministry of Agriculture's Agricultural Land Management Division, ALMD, plays a pivotal role in advancing soil health as the cornerstone of sustainable farming in Jamaica. Now, the division employs various initiatives to improve soil fertility and advocate for best land use practices and ensure sustainable resource management. World Soil Day, celebrated on December 5, is the perfect opportunity to reinforce these objectives. For this year's observation, the theme is Caring for Soils, Measure, Monitor, Manage. Joining us today is Mr. Aldaine Gordon, Senior Agricultural Chemist in the Soil Health Plant Tissue and Water Laboratory at the ALMD. Now, he'll help us understand soil health and its role in bolstering food security, environmental sustainability, and rural development. Sir Gordon, thanks for being here.
Hello, and thank you. It's my pleasure.
All right, let's jump right into some things. Now, say you put the word soil health on a screen. I think the average person could understand soil being healthy, right? It's pretty self-explanatory. But what makes soil healthy or unhealthy?
So just like the human beings or plants and animals, health has to do with well-being in just your everyday life in terms of if I'm a human being, I'm a person. When you're sick, you depart from good health. In terms of the soil now, we're applying this concept or this ideal of caring for the soil. There are certain things that we look for in terms of what's considered as a healthy soil, and that could be related to physical, meaning that is a soil too compacted, it's too crusting, it's not friable. And then we relate it to the chemical aspect, is my soil too alkaline or too acidic, and that's just a synopsis. And even on the microbiological level or on the pathogen level, we can see different organisms that might not be there or is there that can contribute either beneficially or in a deleterious way. So all of that contributes to soil health, and it's a broad aspect in terms of how we view it, right?
So soil health is like a whole system of things that contribute to soil health. Soil isn't just dirt.
No.
You mentioned the microbiology, and I was thinking like, okay. So all of this coming together has a real impact on whether plants grow successfully.
Right. It's broad, and I like to say dirt is what you sweep out of your house. Because if a farmer or someone comes in with a sample, we say this is soil. It's living, or it's still living, right? Until we start to do our analysis on it, we consider it dirt. It becomes inert after we do a set of different analyses or put it in the oven and all of that. And it also depends on the type of analysis that you're going to do. There are certain factors, like I said, that you look for that's considered as good soil health. Is there a certain number of earthworms there that you can use? If the earthworms are there, it's likely because there's a good level of moisture and different friability that and they are contributing in itself to good soil health.
Breaking up the soil.
Right. And different. If you go to the biological level and the testing in the lab level, if they're looking for certain enzymes, if it's there. All of this, if we go more technical, all of these contribute to good soil health. Right.
So let's go on the side of the detriment. Soil isn't healthy. What happens to the average crop if the soil isn't healthy?
There's an impact of how well your crop will perform. So, for example, you have a pepper crop, and there is, or even onion. I tend to love onion. There is an imbalance of nutrients, and let me be simple and start with the pH. And the pH refers to potential hydrogen, and it impacts the amount of hydrogen ions that will be in the soil, right? And that will be in what we call a plant solution.
Okay.
That's going to impact on how the plant will take up other nutrients, because if there is, if it's more acidic or alkaline, that in itself will impact how, say, a phosphorus or a potassium is taken up by the plant. Now, all of these different nutrients play key roles in supporting the plant growth. Say, for example, the phosphorus early on in the plant growth good root development. It hinges on that. If we're looking at nitrogen, nitrogen is very vital. It's considered one of the more important elements in terms of the green leafy part of the plant, which is important for photosynthetic production. That is also impacted. And then nitrogen is, in terms of a nutrient, it's highly, what do you call it? It's highly lost. It's lost very easily or volatile within the environment.
Okay.
Right?
So in end product terms, for example, since we're talking about onions, low soil health could reduce in smaller onions?
Yes.
No onions?
Yeah. Yeah, that could impact your overall production, and onion production is a whole interrelationship, meaning that it's not just the nutrient balance that's important. There's also the pest side. That is, as I'm sure in the media we've learned a lot about the beet armorworm and the botrytis and the purple blotch and all of those diseases that impact onion growth. But there in itself, the nutrient, a healthy plant in itself can help impact how susceptible it is to diseases and how productive they'll get from, and the production itself from the plant. In the early, say about 6 weeks or first or the few weeks, you need those plants, you need the plant leaves rather to be growing healthy and be there to get the vegetative growth that you need and photosynthetic production to do the bulbing. So remember that the leaves are going to make the food, right? If you're doing a flowering plant, or the tomato or a pepper, is a similar situation. You need to have that first vegetative growth or flush to support the production of the flowers, which eventually leads after pollination for the fruit. And this might seem, excuse me, might seem like, oh, we're going back to primary school, but that's all that is involved. Because these different stages of crop production are vital, and it's a whole interrelationship or synergy that takes place in terms of getting that kind of production that you need as a farmer or even just a backyard grower.
Yeah, I really appreciate how you're breaking it down for us, because we're considering root health to considering leaf health. We're not even just thinking about the end product. You're thinking about all the stages and how the soil impacts how the roots are formed, which then pulls up nutrients.
Right.
Okay. So,
and all of these play a vital role at each stage of growth.
So in looking at the big picture then, poor soil health is a direct threat to the food security of Jamaica.
Correct.
Right. Now, how do we maintain soil health? Is that something that we as Jamaicans can impact?
In terms of how we impact it and the public at large and the farmers and industry and people at large, sustainable soil health would be the viable way to do it. And I know that in the media and in just general discussion we hear about sustainable development. Part of this sustainable development is sustainable soil management and care for our environment and our natural resources.
So hold on, I have to jump in here. So sustainable being taking care of what is there, right?
There, using the practices that to ensure that we have it for future generation, and that includes the soil on a broad spectrum or on a bigger sphere. Would we just say the environment?
Okay.
Of course, me as a soil man, like I said, take care of the soil.
Right. The whole environment.
So do the practices, and a lot of them, I think it's been probably nauseated in the media already, are different forums where we talk about using cover crops.
Hold on. Don't go there yet. We're going to have a break right now, and we're going to keep talking about soil health right after the break.
Members of the public are being advised that the Castleton Botanical Gardens in St. Mary will undergo a major renovation exercise over the next year. Work will include the construction of new fencing, bathrooms, walkways, and gabions. The park will, however, remain open to the public. Visitors are asked to exercise caution while on the premises and along the Junction Main Road. If there are any questions, persons may contact 876-574-2099. A message from the PIOJ, Jamaican Path from Hills to Ocean Project, and the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining Public Gardens Division.
Welcome back to Get the Facts. We've learned so far that healthy soil is essential for our food security and the health of ecosystems worldwide. We went into the whole formation of the plant and how the different stages lead to all of that coming together to provide the food that we eat. But we ended with talking about how to maintain soil health. And Sir Gordon, you were explaining the sustainable practices that promoted soil health. Could you go into like maybe 2 or 3 examples of those practices?
Right. So in terms of sustainable soil practices, we talk about using our cover crops. So that includes using legumes such as cowpeas. Sometimes they call it black-eyed peas. There's practicing crop as part of a crop rotation. You know that you have a different crop rotation, meaning crops rather, where you plant your legumes, you have your sweet potato, like a ground provision, and you have a corn in the mix. So they provide different benefits and also break pest buildup, because that's a major impact in terms of if you have like a monoculture, one particular straight you're planting like cane for years back, when Jamaica was big on cane and other monocultures that existed here. They also can involve or use more organic matter, where there is the Jamaica Organic Agriculture Movement that's in the thrust to build and support organic agriculture in Jamaica, where organic matter being composting or using your animal dung in terms of incorporating it into the soil, plowing it into the soil to build up your organic matter. We test for that also in terms of seeing what's an acceptable range, and that can also be an indicator of whether it's a healthier soil or unhealthy, and also your other beneficial microorganisms will provide or perform better rather when there is higher organic matter in the soil, right? Yeah.
Okay. So crop rotation, cover crops.
Using cover crops.
And more organic matter.
Yeah, those are just examples. I'm sure there are more. Yeah, so there are more if you're thinking along like our afforestation programs and reforestation programs, where through the forestry department in terms of improving on your soil erosion, because that's it's a direct loss due to climate change, where we've seen a lot of rains now. And you could also consider like a contouring and terracing more along the hillside agriculture.
Is there any benefit to letting land lie fallow for a while?
Right, that's another one. You can leaving the land to fallow for a while in terms of, it's also a natural way to build up the organic matter there in terms of you not doing too much tillage for a while, because sometimes if over tillage can also impact on the soil structure, what they call soil aggregates. All of that can be impacted in terms of man's impact in itself on the soil, right? Because of too much tillage, and the tillage aspect kind of is culturally too. I'm a St. Elizabeth man, and the southern side they don't necessarily do the tillage as where they'll do in St. Catherine, where you're going to do your plowing or your harrowing, and then you do sometimes they do a rotavating operation to get that finer tillage of soil, depending on the crop that you're planting. At St. Elizabeth, South St. Elizabeth, that is, won't necessarily do all of that just because of the structure of the soil, right? And they might be considering that might be too much dust and all of that. So that there'll be less clay material or soil aggregates or structure to support that kind of land preparation activity.
Got you. So I'm a new farmer. I've got a plot of land, and I am curious about what's the health of the soil that I have now. Can I dig up a bucket of soil, not dirt, soil, and bring it down to ALMD for testing?
Yes, you can do that. We're going to test for the chemical or the nutrients in the soil. And when I say chemicals, I'm referring to your nitrogen, your potassium, and your phosphorus. Those are what they call the golden tripod, or your main 3 nitrates. Yeah, so I always say NPK, right? When you did agriculture in school, I'm sure you learned that.
I did agriculture in school. I didn't do agriculture in school.
I just say that in general because we learned that as your NPK.
Got it.
But there's about 18 different elements. Now the carbon, the hydrogen, and the oxygen that you'll get from the atmosphere. and from the earth itself, or organic matter would be in the carbon form. And then you have calcium, magnesium as secondary elements, and what we call trace or micro elements or micronutrients. Those include your zinc, manganese, copper, and I'm forgetting one, iron.
So I'd get a profile of the soil.
Yes, you can get a profile, and importantly, these are more I'd consider the simpler test, the pH, like I was explaining.
Right.
Okay, so the pH, that acidity or the alkalinity can in fact impact on all of those other chemical nutrients, which are important. How available it is, because it might be there, and you might find that you actually have a high amount of phosphorus here, a high amount of potassium already in the soil, but you're not getting it in the plant. That's weird. It might turn out that you're too acidic or you're too alkaline, because what happens is that the plant is going to take up the nutrients within a range, right? And that range is like around 5.5, depending on the crop. Some crops prefer it slightly more acidic. 5.5 to about 7.3. So that's on the pH scale.
Right. So that's going to impact what I end up planting.
Right.
All right. So final word to our audience, just the last 10 seconds. What are the key takeaways you'd like those who are watching to understand?
So to underscore this nexus of soil health and all of the interrelationships that are involved, from science, the scientific aspect to social aspects. So what we do in terms of there's an event that we held recently underscoring the importance of soil care and the importance of soil health, called World Soil Day. Is an international recognized day by the Food and Agriculture Organization, and it's basically embodying the theme, caring for soils, measure, monitor, and manage. And all of these activities that we spoke about earlier will be embodied in this theme, and we're going to measure the soil in terms of collecting data itself, understanding what is there, what you don't have, and what are the things to do, and also using this data to measure and monitor the soil, manage the soil overall.
Thank you, thank you. That's our guest has been Mr. Aldaine Gordon, Senior Agricultural Chemist in the Soil Health, the Plant Tissue and Water Laboratory at the Agricultural Land Management Division of the Ministry of Agriculture. And they're working measure, monitor, manage.
Right.
Working on maintaining and ensuring the food security of Jamaica land we love. This has been Get the Facts. I want to thank you for watching, and until next time, I'm Theodore Henry. Take good care.